starting at you.
Posters in order. I'd like you to raise your hand and leave it raised for each of these items you own. A cell phone, a car, a computer, a television. Go ahead and lower your hands. Now I'd like to pose a question. Would you be willing to forgo these items in order to remain active in your family, your community, your church? This hypothetical question may not be relevant to your life, but it's one Amish individuals face every day. I've held an interest in Amish culture ever since TLC's Breaking Amish debuted back in 2012. And in light of a recent college course assignment, I've set out to explore this topic and share with you the insight I've gained on it. During the tradition of Rumspringa, Amish teens are permitted to experience life beyond the stringent rules of the church and explore aspects of the outside world for the first time. Rumspringa has been the focus of numerous television series, books, documentaries, and movies, many of which depict Amish teens as wild and rebellious youngsters who have fallen prey to drugs, alcohol, and sex. And while this might be the case in some instances, it's important to learn about this Amish rite of passage outside of the melodramatic depictions often portrayed by the media. To understand Rumspringa and the significance it holds in Amish culture, we need to ask a series of questions, beginning with, who are the Amish? Followed by, what is Rumspringa, and which members of the community participate in it? And finally, why does Rumspringa occur in the first place? Let's begin with learning who the Amish are. The Amish are a Christian group of Anabaptists who value family, community, church, and tradition. Family is a top priority in Amish culture. Families work together, and every member of a family has a role to fulfill. Families also play together and enjoy quality time with one another. Community well-being and prosperity is valued over that of the individual. Individualism is discouraged, but qualities such as humility and generosity to those in need is highly encouraged. Church is of the utmost importance in Amish culture. Rules and restrictions established by church elders are to be strictly adhered to. Baptism, a commitment to God and the church, is undertaken by consenting and informed individuals only. There are no christenings in the Amish church, nor is there child baptism. The Amish uphold many traditions. Traditional style of dress is customary, and here you can see a couple examples of the style of clothing that the Amish wear. The women wear long dresses and head coverings such as a bonnet. The men trousers, and once they are baptized into the church, they maintain a full beard. Traditional methods of growing food are also customary. There's a lot of farming that goes on in the Amish community. Traditional Christian family dynamics, such as the father being the spiritual leader of the house, is customary. And the tradition of Rumspringa, which we will cover next, is also customary. Now that we've established who the Amish are, let's explore Rumspringa and find out which members of the community participate in it. As defined by the Oxford Dictionary, Rumspringa, a Pennsylvania Dutch term loosely translated to running around, is a period of adolescence typically commencing around age 16 in which boys and girls are given greater personal freedom and allowed to form romantic relationships, typically ending in the choice of being baptized into the church or leaving the community. During Rumspringa, teens may choose to utilize technologies that might have otherwise been forbidden. Cell phone and social media is used, and motor vehicles are also used in lieu of the traditional horse-drawn carriages or buggies you might be familiar with. Teens may also experiment with English culture. And when I say English, this is the term that the Amish use to refer to the culture outside of their own. Amish teens may dress English. They might don garments that are identical to you or I. They also might pick up English slang, and they might just choose to speak English over the Pennsylvania Dutch that is customarily spoken within their communities. During Rumspringa, teens may choose to expand expand their social circles by venturing beyond their communities, which of course is made possible by cars, cell phones, and social media, but it's also made possible by attending social gatherings such as parties, which coincidentally are a source for many of the negative portrayals of Rumspringa that are often made by the media. So far, we've established who the Amish are, as well as explored the tradition of Rumspringa. So let's move to answer our final question as to why Rumspringa occurs. In an interview from Tom Sachtem's book, Rumspringa, To Be or Not to Be Amish, Dennis L., an Amish grandfather from Shipswina, addresses a common misconception surrounding Rumspringa, explaining, "We do not give our young folks leave to go out and sin just to get it out of their system. What we give them is a little space so they might be with people their own age and find a partner. It's through Rumspringa that Amish youth are able to expand their social horizons. And this is an important point because the more people you know, the greater likelihood you will find a potential mate. And the more you interact in a society that is different from your own, the greater emphasis will be on your own traditions and values. And perhaps the main purpose behind Rumspringa is so that Amish teens might fulfill the requirement of becoming a consenting and informed individual, which, recall, is necessary for engaging in Amish baptism. With this information, we are able to understand why Amish teens are permitted to break from the strict rules of the church and venture beyond their tight-knit communities during Rumspringa. Today, we have learned that the Amish are a Christian community who value family, church, and tradition, and that Rumspringa is a period of exploration undertaken by Amish teens as a means of socialization and discovery. Depending on your answer to the question I posed earlier on whether you'd be willing to forgo certain material items in order to remain active in your family, community, or church, you might be surprised to learn that studies done by Professor of Sociology Thomas Myers estimate that more than 80% of Amish youth do eventually undergo baptism into the church. And while the Amish culture might seem rigid and unappealing to the outside world, the traditions and rules they live by serve to uphold their values while minimizing unnecessary worldly distractions. And I believe that the Amish notion of simple, honest living can benefit us all. Thank you.
Good job.